I want us now to talk about common factors. We've learned how to find the factors of numbers, and it's super important, but one of the main reasons we would want to do that is to look at two numbers and tell if they have any factors in common. And of course, common means things that you have alike. So if you and a friend both enjoy playing tennis, then tennis is something you have in common. Well, numbers have things in common. They can be factors. And so 54 has factors and 132 has factors. And if 6 is a factor of both of them, that is called a common factor. So the question, is 6 a common factor of 54 and 132, is a question we can ask. Now, of course, we could divide both of these by 6, and I think immediately we'll recognize that 54 divided by 6 is 9. And so we know that 6 is a factor of 54, but for it to be a common factor, 6 also has to be a factor of 132. Now, actually, I don't feel like dividing right now, so let's actually use our divisibility rules to figure out if 6 is a factor of 132. And we know that if 2 and 3 are both factors, then 6 also has to be. Now, we immediately know that 132 is divisible by 2. We know that because it is an even number. And now we know that if we know it's divisible by 3, we're going to add the digits. 1 plus 3 plus 2 is 6, and 6 is divisible by 3. And so 132 has 2 as a factor and 3 as a factor. And any number that has 2 and 3 as factors also has 6 as a factor. And so 132 is divisible by 6. And so the answer is yes. We could divide it out to see 132 divided by 6, and there won't be a remainder. It's actually going to be 6 times 22. And so that is what a common factor means. Now, the reason we want to do that is because what we're about to do is now work a problem that looks for the greatest common factor. And greatest common factor is one of the most important skills we'll ever learn with numbers. It's used throughout math, but it's especially important at this point in our math careers as we move toward fractions. Fractions use greatest common factors a lot. And then when you get into algebra, really advanced things in math, knowing greatest common factors, being able to compute those quickly and use them is so super important. Okay, so if you want to know what the greatest common factor is, a pair of numbers can have one of those, and the first thing you want to do is know what the common factors are. So let's list the factors of 12 first. How do I get 12? Well, 1 times 12. I can also do 2 times 6. I can also do 3 times 4. Those are all the factors of 12. How do I get 20? Well, 20 is 1 times 20, or it's 2 times 10, or 4 times 5. Those are all of the factors of 20. And so if I wanted to list the common factors, first thing that many of you may want to do is say that 1 is a common factor. And you would be right that 1 is a common factor, but we're actually going to use these to simplify fractions, to do things that involve multiplying and dividing. And since multiplying and dividing numbers by 1 doesn't change them, it's actually not useful as a common factor. So when we list common factors, we do not list 1. It doesn't mean that 1 isn't a factor of both of them, but it's not useful in common factors. I do notice that 2 is a common factor, and I notice that 4 is a common factor. The common factors of 12 and 20 are 2 and 4. We notice that 3, 6, and 12 are factors of 12, but not 20. 5, 10, and 20 are factors of 20, but not 12. And so the question is, what is the greatest common factor? Well, it's just simply saying, out of 2 and 4, which is the greatest number? And it is 4. We'll abbreviate greatest common factor as GCF, and the GCF of 12 and 20 is 4.